Hi, I am Robbie, Sunshine Robbie, and I'm here to share an understanding that came through a frequency. And it has developed over the last few days and expanded. And I feel ready to share, I feel ready to put it out there because I feel more integrated with it. And this is about the 144K. I have always been very uncomfortable with the terminology used of the chosen 144K. For me, that feels conditional, and besides other things. However, I'm not dismissing that there is a reason and there is a theory for 144K. At one point, I thought 144 was a frequency, like in hertz, but it doesn't. It didn't match. It didn't just make sense. It just didn't resonate. But 144K, what the message came through is that the Earth needs 144K earthly human beings of light to tap into love and truth, inner truth, and sustain in a stable, energetic fluency within themselves to then be able to supply Mother Earth with what she needs. Mother Earth works with human beings on a daily basis. We touch the earth, but Mother Earth receives information from each human being when these human beings are touching their inner truth and their love, their unconditional love consciousness, when they're acting in being of these spaces on a very stable, energetic, stable platform, let's say. It's not sustainable because we're all humans. And we step into these spaces many, many times. These spaces feels like when we step into breakthroughs, when we step into our truth, when we gain clarity, when we step into love, when we step into unconditional love, when we're being of the consciousness of unconditional, when our choices come from that place, when our decisions, when our actions come from that place. And we are, over the years, since 2012, being able to sustain these moments much longer. Before we would be able to sustain it for a split second, but now we're able to sustain for hours on end through the day, perhaps not a full day, or perhaps a few days at a time, and then we break down. And the more that we are stepping into these frequencies of love and truth, inner truth, we are then choosing, consciously or subconsciously, we are stepping and tapping into the pool of 144K beings on earth that are in that frequency of love, able to sustain and able to be there enough time that Mother Gaia and the divine can gather all the information that the collective is going through. So basically, 144K is only a sample of a collective that is experiencing something at that moment and tapping into love and inner truth and being able to then share this information with Mother Gaia. As you know, every time we are exposed to light, we are also exposed to our shadows. So those moments don't last very long because it exposes to new truth, new layers of inner truth, new layers of conditional love or unconditional love that we need to see, that we're still holding, which then we come down, we step out of the 144K pool of collective, simple of collective, to then do our shadow work, and then and then surface and emerge again into the frequency of inner truth and love, and then we are then tapping into that simple collective of 144K. So this simple collective of 144K is not chosen. There isn't one person or 144K people that are going to be forever chosen and being as part of that collective. There's no signature. There's no digital print that allows you to be one of those. What's happening is that everyone on earth, every single population, and I also feel, which the frequency that's coming through right now, is that there will be a collective that when they are tapping in together, there will be similar blueprints of energy that they'll be working through, to be able to then step into their inner truth. So maybe a collective is working through the sacred template of a family template. Maybe a collective is working on a sacred template of the feminine energies. Maybe a collective is working on a template of the masculine energies. Maybe a collective is working in a template of the sacred relationship. And I think there's not just one sample collective of 144K. I think there is many working at all different aspects of the different templates that we are learning to explore, to become our inner truth and our unconditional love in each of these templates. Because as we are human, we are in a family, we are in a relationship, we are part of a community. So we hold these different templates within us, and we are given the opportunity to work through them. So there isn't just one 144K, there is several simple collectives of 144K that we step in and out in different of these samples, the different samples, whenever we find the space to be then working in those templates. And there's a lot of a push and pull energy feeling. Some will be stepping into consciousness, some will be stepping in through the energy pulling. Perhaps you are more sensitive to these collective energy pullings, and you are sensing that perhaps this is the theme that we're going to be working through. And then you probably realize that, spiritual leaders are talking, some people are talking, perhaps now in this portal we're going to be working with the template of the sacred family. But other leaders are saying, no, we're going to be working with the template of the feminine and masculine energies. And it's not right or wrong. It's just they're holding perhaps the highest frequency of a collective of 144K. They're all aiming or being drawn or being called to work in a sacred template of the feminine masculine. And then this leader perhaps is holding more of a higher frequency where others are going to be pulled and drawn to work through the family, the sacred family template. So then you will have different collectives of 144K. And by saying this, I'm not saying that these people then are leaders of these 144K, but they are the ones that are perhaps more tapped in to be able to bring the information out for us, and then that we can then resonate with, to be able to then decide and step into the frequency of inner truth and love on that specific template. So when I felt this frequency, and this frequency I felt that I was drawn and guided to work through these different um, sample of 144K collective, as I felt drawn to work in a certain theme and then a certain theme and then a certain theme. But I could feel the frequency of others working in different themes of the one that I was working. So it made me realize that we drop back and forth in that pool of collective of 144K as we are just living our lives and being true to ourselves and, standing in our unconditional love as much as we can. And to remind that, we don't need to think that we are fully in unconditional love and in our inner truth at all times. This is a desire, this is a conscious purpose. But we also understand that, as we step into those moments, into those frequencies, we're going to be shown some shadows of ourselves, and then we need to step down to be able to work through our shadows. Sometimes even through our shadows, we are working in our inner truth and through unconditional love. So even in our shadows, we could still be tapped into one of these sacred templates that 144K, people are holding. So we just need to understand that I don't think the concept of chosen is unconditional, but I do think that we choose to be either through our conscious or either through energy discernment, being able to discern how the collective energies are working. And these people that are working already with the collective energies are definitely bringing that information to allow then those that are not able to discern the energies yet, to be able then to resonate, if there's resonance to what they're going through. They'll then consciously decide, right, I'm going to step into this and accept this activation or this download or this upgrade and work through that process, which allows you then to make that choice to enter that space of inner truth and love, which then you are working with 144K collective of that specific sacred template that you are consciously working with. So this is what came through. It came through frequency, and because I struggled to put words into it to be able to explain, I asked my inner guidance to show me through situations how was I supposed to understand this concept that came through. So I was put in situations where it was very clear, the synchronicities and the universal signs and everything was very, very straightforward and clear to be able to help me understand and put words into it. So here it is. I've shared, I'm sharing, and it's it's a concept that perhaps we are ready to step into, and through a spiritual journey, sometimes we have to be given something by the universe in a certain way that we are only ready to see in that certain way at that moment in time. And then once after the majority of the collective have stepped into that concept and understood that concept, then perhaps it opens the clarity to understand a much deeper depth of that concept, to expand our minds, to expand our visions, and see that that concept isn't limited to just that, is actually another step to it. This happens in your own healing journey when you see something that happened in your life in a light, in a lenses, and then you work through it, and then as you're working through your shadows, you realize there's more to it, right? There's a much bigger, expansive understanding of what the situation really was. So a whole new reality comes through for you. And these spiritual concepts that we are, used to talk about, as well have these moments where we are then given a whole new concept to that specific theme. So for example, perhaps we were given the concept that we were chosen. It really put us in a drive to work towards it, because we're working with our egos, right? And the egos was very heavy, a few years ago, and the majority of those people was working in their spiritual path. And now we have shredded a lot of that. We have, gone through many ego deaths to the point that we're now able to stay in a truth and love for much longer periods of time at a time, which then allows us to then see a more expensive concept of what 144K. And that's when I started to question, when I worked through ego death, thinking, oh yeah, I was chosen. But then I was like, no, but chosen means conditional. And then I started to query and question. It's been querying for a couple of years now. And every time I came to query, I was given more understanding, like more expensive understanding of all this, but I could never put into words. I could never put together in a way that I explained today. And I still think today I haven't done justice to what I feel. But I know there is enough for us to look into. There's enough for us to either resonate or to either question. And it's okay to question. But mainly for us to understand that every spiritual concept will change over time as well. Everything's changing. Everything's forever changing. And that's the beauty of movement. It's the beauty of energy. It's the beauty of flow. The moons have changed, the waters have changed, the tides have changed, the winds are changing, the sun is changing, it goes up and down, the stars are changing. So why wouldn't all of this be eventually expansive and change and open our minds to a much more expanded way of thinking? So this is it. I just wanted to share. It's been on my mind for the last couple of hours, and I went into my heart to calm down the mind, and a lot of clarity and how to share this came up, and that's why I'm here. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon in one of my heart chakra guided meditations. Also, we hold group developing your intuition, your inner truth, your love, your inner guidance in Patreon community through the Wisdom Activator 369. And I offer oracle reading, which then brings these concepts of healing through the oracle healings, so that it can help you perhaps with different perspectives